Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to BIZVERDS. My name is Zain Goplani, and I'm back again with another topic with my two guests today with me. BIZVERDS is all about when we bring in experts, we bring in professionals from the industry, from different markets. And of course, we have a topic that we discuss. Today, I have two amazing people with me, thorough professionals, and of course, leaders in their respective field. I have Mr. Jalal Curmally from EFU Life with me today, and I have Ms. Ayesha Saleem from EBM here with me today. How are you both doing? Thank you so much for being here with us.
Ladies first.
I was expecting that. I'm very well, Zen. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I've been following this regularly. I think lockdown has its own blessings, and the kind of people, the kind of talks that you guys are doing, it's just phenomenal. I'm following Farhad, Saman, you. It's just fantastic.
Thank you so much, Ayesha, for the appreciation. How have you been, Jalal?
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Admittedly, the first week was rough. It was unexpected, and there was a lot that needed to be done internally, organizationally, very, very, very quickly. But after that, it's been really stimulating, to be perfectly honest. There is so much now to sit and think about post-corona, especially from an HR perspective. I've been having, let's just say, I found something to keep me occupied after work.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is great, Jalal. People who are watching us, welcome to BIZVERDS once again. What I would request you right now is to please write your name, your organization, and your city of residence so that Jalal, Ayesha, and I know who has joined us today. Let's move on now. So today's topic is actually called Empowering Millennials. And today is the second part of our discussion where we will discuss the role of leaders in nurturing millennials, aka Generation Y. Now, depending on which source you use, millennials are defined as those who were born between 1981 and 1997, or even 1980 to 2004. Now, millennials are quickly becoming the most present population in the workforce and future in leadership roles as well. Now, according to one of the research by PEW Research Center, by 2030, all members of the baby boom generation will reach their retirement age of 65. Now, when we know this, in 2014, millennials already represented a majority of the workforce with more than half in management roles. Now, while we talk about all these things as well, somehow it's also been observed that they're not really content to take up the leadership style that has preceded them. More than a third of the millennials surveyed believe that within 10 years, the CEO role will no longer be relevant in its current format. This may stem from the fact that while 91% of the millennials said that they aspire to leadership roles, 83% would also prefer to work for companies with fewer layers of management, indicating that millennials are seeking out a less hierarchical approach to leadership. Now, to discuss this in detail, I have with me Jalal and I have with me Ayesha, who has agreed, and I'm really honored that they both have agreed to be here with us today. And I have known them for quite a while. I have worked with your team. I have done training sessions for your organizations. So it's great to have both of you with us today. So let's start with our first question. My first question is from you, Ayesha. The millennials, Ayesha, are often labeled as lazy, unreliable, not disciplined. They are often asked to work in the same hierarchical settings as their ancestors. And that's why they retaliate a lot. What's your take on that?
So I first need to really beg to differ that this tag is quite unfair.
Okay.
I'm saying this because all of us in this live show also belong to the millennial workforce. Perhaps, maybe not Jalal. But I'm seriously not saying this because I belong to that same fraternity. I'm just saying this because the more I interact with them, I find that they're not lazy. What they are is more so creative. They're creative, a little impatient at some times. They want very quick gratification, instant gratification, instant feedback, instant and constant appreciation. However, what I have seen is a fantastic breed of millennials who are extremely adept, agile, very quick, at learning concepts and applying them, very quick in terms of thinking, creative thinking, out of box solutions. More or less, I've often thought of this. Why is it this way? Why not the baby boomers? Why don't you see this behavior a lot in the baby boomers, let's say, and why in them? Perhaps because, well, they have had quite quite a lot of facilities with them. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
when they were entering the workforce. I'm not generalizing here, but
Okay.
when I generally interact with them, what I see is that what they're looking for is perhaps not a breadwinning option. Some of them come from very, very stable families altogether. What they're looking for is autonomy, instant feedback, instant appreciation, as I said before. So their expectations are very different and they need constant guidance, constant coaching. So gone are the days when you would just get an individual, especially a millennial in this conversation's context, and throw that person into the deepest Pacific end and say, hey, you know what, just fend for yourself. No, they need constant guidance.
Oh, you
Right.
can.
Right. Yes, Jalal, you want to add something?
Yeah, you can. In fact, I think this generation, more than any other generation of corporate workers before it, would actually thrive in the deep end of the pool, providing you have a way for a specific definition of what the pool is.
Okay.
If you are able to establish your processes and your systems in a way that allow, and your management practices in a way that allow for experimentation and
Okay.
for making mistakes. And that feedback loop is present in one way or another. Yes, you can, and I believe you actually should toss them in the deep end of the pool. Whereas in the past, we in HR are used to having some very structured, highly detailed hand-holding processes of induction that slowly ease somebody into an organizational hierarchy. Your average millennial is probably bored and is already job hunting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it's actually perhaps keeping your own, and as they say, you should only take advice from your doctor, but keeping your own organization and your own organization's HR culture and management culture and your own systems and processes very firmly in view. I think there is tremendous potential here for this generation to actually slide into their roles a lot faster and with a lot more autonomy and initiative taking than preceding ones. I agree and disagree to some extent the with the millennial critique. Look, they're a generation of workforce. So were we.
Yeah.
I guarantee you 20 years from now, these three millennials are going to be sitting on a platform exactly like this going, oh, these Gen Zers, I tell you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Labels are not important.
Yes.
A talent pool is entering the workforce and is looking for more than just employment. They are looking for value addition to themselves as people in addition to being professionals. It falls to us as, unfortunately, the people who call the millennial generation the problem are actually the people who have the solution to the problem, us. We're the ones sitting in positions of power. We're the ones sitting in places where decisions can be made and executed, where policies can be formulated and rolled out. If you don't like it, you have the power to change it and for the better. And I think it falls to us to ensure that any generation of workforce that enters into our organizations is given opportunity, the opportunities for growth, for development, and upward mobility. Whether you're a millennial, a boomer, Gen X, Gen Y, irrelevant. The playing field and the parameters for success need to be easily available and level for all. And then let's see where the cream is. And I think this generation has a lot to say for it. The critique I have for this generation is, yes, indisciplined. Indisciplined.
Right. Okay.
Indisciplined because they're in a hurry.
Okay.
Impatient.
Yes, some things should go faster, and that is a valid critique, and we need to take that on board and say, yeah, you know what? There's absolutely no reason why this can't be fast. Go ahead. But some things, especially those things that take time, mindset change, perception change, not knowledge, because this generation tends to conflate knowledge and talent with aptitude and skill. They're two very different things. You may have all the aptitude in the world, but without time and experience and polishing it, you will not develop that skill. That is the perspective of experience. That is what we bring. And then this generation needs to learn how to do that. And yeah, they do need a lot of validation. Wo bichara, as we were saying just before, wo 10 photocopy karke aata hai, you have to praise him like pata nahi usne annual report likh diya bande ne. But you know what?
Too harsh, Jalal. I think that's too harsh. Before we move on, Zain, I really need to, there are two really valid points, Jalal.
I'm joking, but yeah, you get.
I know you are. So the first thing I really agree with is that they've got immense potential. All they are looking for is a very clear-cut direction. You have to give them very clear direction from day one. And if you're mincing your words there, and if you're not clear yourself as a leader as to what you require out of that resource, he might have brilliant potential, but he will definitely get disarrayed very soon. And he will start questioning his own decision and your own capability as well. That's just coming from experience. The second thing Jalal is talking about, definitely, as I said, impatience. Jalal put it, being very hasty about a couple of things that they would like to achieve. I personally feel I perfectly agree with the experience bit. Yes, there is no shortcut to success and there is no shortcut to experience. Experience is the best of all teachers. However, I have seen a bit of a dilemma where there's a beautiful concept he spoke about, and that was potential, right? So we look at potential. I think we're far into, I wouldn't call HR in its infancy now. 10 years ago, when I joined this sector, it was perhaps. Now it's not. We're fairly into it. We fairly understand. All these HR practitioners understand what is required, not just from the HR leaders, but also from the people managers, because they're half HR managers, right? I think it's high time we don't just tag people according to their age. Often what I find happening is that I'm not going to generalize here that baby boomers do this or X does it. I find it everywhere. I find it even in a few millennials as well, that all they are looking at when they're talking to you is your age. It seems as if your age is written on top of your face, although at the end of the day, I think the world is moving fast. It's about potential now. So if somebody has gray matter, is talking sense, has really got his or her hands dirty in the past experience and knows what he or she is doing, then why not respect that?
Interesting. Now, while we're talking about, so now let's first talk to our people who are here. So people who have just joined us, please drop your name, drop your designation, and drop your organization so that we know who has joined us. Also, I would like to hear it from you people. What do you think are those criticisms or are those labels that you might have heard being a millennial? Now, for example, one of the things that I have heard, and that's what Jalal just said it right now, that we're very impatient. बहुत जल्दी है हम actually बहुत जल्दी में, and शायद मुझे लगता है मैं भी बहुत जल्दी में हूँ, और शायद हम सब बहुत जल्दी में. क्यों है जल्दी में? शायद ये भी समझना बाकी है कि हम क्यों बहुत जल्दी कर रहे हैं हर चीज में. But maybe what is that you have heard? Now, Ayesha, what you just said to me right now about that, yes, we should not consider the age and everything, and तो हम अक्सर बात करते हैं मिलेनियल्स का एटीट्यूड ऐसा होना चाहिए, मिलेनियल्स का एटीट्यूड वैसा होना चाहिए. हम ये कभी बात क्यों नहीं करते कि हमारे से ऊपर की जो जनरेशन है, अब शायद उन्हें भी अपने एटीट्यूड बदलने की जरूरत है, और उन्हें क्या करने की जरूरत है जब हमारे साथ काम कर रहे होते हैं. We are going to learn, we are new, but you might have to unlearn a lot of things too. What do you think about that?
Are you asking me or are you asking Jalal?
I'm asking you first, Ayesha, and of course I'll move to Jalal then.
Okay, so no, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I like the dynamics of this panel. So I've come across some fantastic baby boomers. people who really don't believe in that that X theory. They don't, and they're so agile. They're so that reverse mentoring concept. They're really looking forward to that, and that just makes the ride so much more fun when the person who is perhaps maybe in a position more senior to you is really receptive to what you're saying. He's actually, or she is actually listening and not just hearing so that he or she can respond to what you're saying, but really he or she wants to learn and be as agile and as adept and quick at responding to situations. So yes, you're right. People do need to unlearn. Everybody does. Millennials need to do that too. So does the generation which has preceded us, or is still in those roles. A few to still believe in the X theory of management, management by fear. Come across a few, I'm not generalizing at all, and that's why I began my conversation by praising the ones who are really, up for change, because change is what really helps you succeed, right? But there are still a few who believe in management by fear, who and you see them exhibiting that in interviews where they're still taking stress interviews, especially from millennials. Ye pen bech ke dikhao.
Yeah.
Or at work, they're still going to literally chide a young, so for example, a management trainee, let's say, just because एक comma नहीं लगा या full stop नहीं लगा, या okay, एक border जो है वो उतना aligned नहीं है. I've seen this happen, and that's not fair.
Right. So maybe a theory X is not working all the time, and of course, you said that a lot of people are not really following theory X and probably शायद theory Y या उसका hybrid बना रहे हैं. Viewers जो नहीं जानते theory X, theory Y, को I'll quickly briefly. Theory X ये कहती है कि जी आप लोगों को control कर सकते हैं, manage कर सकते हैं by showing them the stick. The stick and carrot approach होती है इसके ऊपर कि आप लोगों को जो simple बातों में डंडा मारे लोग काम करेंगे, ये theory X है. थ्योरी वाई ये कहती है कि डंडा नहीं चलता है, लोगों को एम्पावर करें, लोगों को मोटिवेट करें, उन्हें वैल्यू दिखाइए और लोग खुद ही काम करने लगेंगे. जलाल, सेम क्वेश्चन, बेबी बूमर्स के एटीट्यूड में कुछ तब्दीली की जरूरत है? व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
First of all, I'm not a boomer.
Okay, Gen X?
I don't know, Gen X or Y? No.
चले, जो भी है. Okay.
Not a boomer.
Okay.
My parents are boomers. Secondly, I disagree with the framing of the question. You can't really see this as a generational issue. It's an individual issue. It depends upon the organization and its culture and the sort of management style that is promoted inside of that culture. If you are coming from a very atypical Pakistani, I hesitate to use the word organization, and I'm sure we all know what we're talking about. तो फिर हाँ, whatever the boss says goes, और जब तक के नौकरी है तो है, and be on your toes क्योंकि कुछ पता नहीं है, कल को निकाल देंगे. And then you have companies, very large, very big names that have some phenomenal managers in there, as well as some phenomenally bad managers in there. I don't think you have an organization that's got a complete tier of perfect managers and leaders and a complete tier of imperfect. There's good and bad people everywhere. So I don't see how you could couch this as a generation in generational terms. I view this conversation more in lines of organizations and HR professionals are accustomed to a certain toolkit, a certain frame of reference, and a certain set of practices. We use those to manage our departments, manage our companies, and provide HR services.
Okay.
The mindset that this generation of workers came in does not fit that toolkit perfectly. It challenges it. Right? That's what's being challenged. Now, you try to tell somebody who's been a manager, who's now mid-40s, early 50s, oh yeah, everything that you learned 10, 15 years ago, you have some young millennial who's going to show up here and say, boss, well, yeah, you're wrong. The world doesn't work like that anymore. And you won't get resistance? Of course you will. It falls to people in, for example, for functions like HR, to be sensitive to this reality, to be alert to it. That manager who is reacting like that is not wrong. He's a human being. Insan hai wo. but then so is that new employee. There needs to be a transfer, not just of institutional knowledge, but of experience and wisdom from that manager to that employee. HR needs to facilitate that. That means both of them need to be brought onto a common platform and speaking the same language. And there are ways in which you can do that. So it's not a generational issue, it's a cultural issue. It is a management practice issue. And people who like to call themselves the custodians and guardians of that, namely HR departments, have a role to play here.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And just want to add something to this question only, Jalal. So while you're talking about well, this is a cultural issue, and कहीं ना कहीं से उस इदारे की मैनेजमेंट का थोड़ा सा चीजें हो सवाल हो सकता है. So what do you think the leaders have to start doing to engage and empower these millennial workforce, and eventually entrusting them to be the leaders of tomorrow? What do you think the leaders should do?
Trust them.
Right.
Trust them. Trust them. Let go a little. Trust this workforce. No one wakes up in the morning, comes to work thinking, today I'm going to do a pathetic job and I'm going to be the worst employee ever. Nobody does that. All of that happens once you reach the office, not when you wake up in the morning, because that's not who we really are. And now I'm generalizing here, but generally speaking, I like to believe that people do honestly want to do a good job at their work. What a leader should do is, look, a leader's job is not to manage. So let's just be very clear here. Okay. A manager's job is to manage.
Yes.
A leader's job is to monitor and mold the environment in such a way that people can bring out their best.
Their best, yeah.
That they are ready to follow. Yeah. So let go a little. You don't need to micromanage everything. There are times when, yes, agar nukta yahan se wahan ho gaya, border wahan se wahan ho gaya, there are times when a little stick is necessary and even desirable, not all the time. And fear and negativity is never a good motivator of people. But if you can show those people that what you are saying, what you are telling them to do, or teaching them to do, or coaching them to do, or yes, Khuda na khasta, even yelling at them to do, is actually in their benefit and for their development, they will follow. So let go a little, live with the mistakes a little, and trust these people. There is a lot in this generation to commend itself if you are willing to actually just sort of sit down and listen to them. We were talking again, and I think one of the most valuable things a manager or a leader can do with a millennial team right now is to ask them, sit down with them and just say these words to them. What do you think?
Yes.
Just say that. Just say that.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Please, Ayesha. Yes, please.
So, very delighted with the fact that Jalal started off with trust, because trust is the building block. If there is no trust, there's nothing. The second most important element, which I've seen really works, is respect. You have to respect them. Of course, these are intertwined. Trust and respect, they go hand in hand, right? But a lot of times, there is a very fine line that you really need to be careful. You don't have to cross that. When you're coaching people, when you're giving them feedback, everybody needs respect. No matter how junior that person may be, no matter in age, in experience, in designations, we talk of a world now where everyone is a leader. Leadership is not a title, right? So definitely, when you ask them this question, what do you think? You're empowering them. They need respect. And as you said, what do leaders need to do? They need to empower this generation equally. They need to respect them. They need to trust them. Trust their creativity. Trust the fact that their intentions are also as pure as anybody else's, and they're here to do a very good job.
Yeah. No one wakes up in the morning thinking, today I'm going to be pathetic.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's another thing.
So,
sorry, I'm cutting you, but because the question is really nice, I love this question. What can leaders do? Walk the talk. I can't say that enough. I cannot emphasize that enough. Often, why these I'm not going to call them kids. They get very frustrated. They are not kids. They are. This is a talent pool. Um,
Yeah.
why this talent pool gets more dismayed quick, quicker. They get disengaged quicker is
Hmm.
because is generally when they see you know जो हम कहते हैं ना कि आप बात तो कर रहे हैं but you're not exhibiting it. So you're saying ये जान लगा के काम करो या रिस्पेक्ट करो और बैक बाइटिंग ना करो all that jazz लेकिन you see the leader embody that and that's where this generation just says पहली वाली
Yeah.
में शायद ज्यादा टॉलरेंस थी. This one will snap at you and say आप खुद तो कर लें.
True. बिल्कुल.
Walk the talk.
No,
And I guess
100%.
walk the talk की जो आपने बात कही है, just want to add something to as well. There's a word called role models. लीडर्स को कितना ज्यादा वही आपकी बात है, वॉक टू टॉक कही है, कई सारे लीडर्स हैं जो कि एक्चुअली चाहते कुछ है मगर वो खुद कुछ है. वो रोल मॉडल्स एक्चुअली नहीं कर पाते या वो एक्चुअली वो नहीं बन पाते जिसके लिए शायद मिलेनियल एम कर रहा है. बिकॉज इफ यू लुक एट इट्स अबाउट ग्लोबलाइजेशन राइट नाउ. कोई भी ऑनलाइन बिजनेस में काम कर रहा है फिलहाल तो कहीं ना कहीं उसको वो जैक मा को देख रहा है, जो सॉफ्टवेयर पे काम कर रहा है, वेबसाइट पे देख रहा है, वो मार्क जकरबर्ग को देख रहा है. वो उन लोगों को देख रहा है जिन्होंने वाकई में ग्लोबल चीजें बहुत डिफरेंटली शेप कर दी है. नाउ in this time of pandemic, COVID-19 right now, I have seen a lot of millennials actually, I have seen a lot of this younger generation right now teaching their bosses on how to use few softwares. And of course, because millennials या फिर नई जनरेशन को बहुत जल्दी आता है हाथ पे पकड़ना, they are used to this as well. But जो रोल मॉडल्स की बात करें, and of course उसके बाद हम ऑडियंस सवाल लेंगे. I'm already seeing a lot of questions from the audience. अच्छा, हम रोल मॉडल्स की बात करते हैं आयशा, कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है ये रोल मॉडलिंग, कितना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. वही वाली बात जो जलाल ने भी कही, आपने भी कही थी कि उनको एक्चुअली सीधी डायरेक्शन दिखाएं कि कहाँ जाना है, किस तरह जाना है, ये कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स आई एम गोना पास द सेम क्वेश्चन टू जलाल एज वेल. यस आयशा.
Importance की तो मैं I can't talk enough ना. This is the as I said the building block. You can't function without it. बहुत important है. Role modeling हर किसी के लिए important है, सिर्फ leaders के लिए नहीं. Whatever you're saying, you have to embody it as well. But what I really want to harp here is what sort of role modeling. So a leader's job is definitely to align everybody with the purpose, the why behind what you're doing. And everybody's why can be very different. My why can be very different from Jalal's and Zain's, right? But a lot of times, especially with this generation, I feel what they're really looking forward to is really a sincere guide in their leader or their manager, for that matter, who can really have that connect, that emotional connect with them and really align with their why. So when I said direction is important, it's not just the organizational direction. It's also how your purpose is in sync with that direction. I'll just give you a little example. So if I'm in HR and I'm the HR lead for a function, for an organization, is that it? Why am I doing this? It's because I have a love for this field. I want to add value to this canvas of HR, right? That's my bigger purpose. And if that is aligned with what the organization wants, then you will definitely be creating magic. And as Steve Jobs said, you're not going to feel as if you're working any one day because the vision pulls you, the passion pulls you.
Interesting. I was in very deep. So I was just processing what you just said. Jalal.
There's very little to that I can add to what's been discussed in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Can I sort of bring the mood down and just give a word or two of caution?
Please.
Okay. Not every millennial understands what is being given to them, whether it's in role modeling or etc. That's the tragedy of the generation, really, that they don't really appreciate it until later on in life when they realize, whoops, they had it, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 years down in their career. Number one. So as leaders, or as someone who is actually in a position where you are required to role model for an incumbent young millennial workforce, you must always be alert to how much time, energy, and effort you are putting where, on what, and for whom. Role modeling is not just something that is done subconsciously. At an organizational level, it is an active, planned activity. And the people are chosen very carefully. And the elements to be role modeled are also clearly defined, as are its outcomes and objectives. We can talk about all of these fantastic halcyonic management and leadership ideas, but just keep in mind, just make sure that the workforce actually knows and understands and has an appreciation for what is being offered. Because if that is not there, you will fail, number one. That's the first thing. The second thing is your role model. I would just sort of expand and say, okay, yeah, we absolutely need to be looking at role models. We need to be looking at influencers. We need to be looking at, and not just leadership influencers, peer groups in other functions, in other departments. You can have influencers who aren't, or role models who aren't terribly good career mentors or terribly good career role models, but they're fantastic on your values. They're amazing on your culture. They buy the corporate brand immediately. I'll take, for example, some of the people that we really look for when we feel somebody needs an example. We look for three things, and all three things link to EFU Life's values: integrity, respect, dignity. These are a part of the value system at EFU Life, and somebody who truly understands just what an effort it is to give equal respect all the time. And then we point to that and say, learn from this person. And we try to make that available to people. That's the second thing when you're talking about role modeling. You have to know what you are role modeling for. Be very careful about who you're role modeling, what is being role modeled, and whether or not that person is even capable, as Ayesha very rightly pointed out, of walking the talk. Understand this. My generation and the generation that came before us looked to our organizations to add value. And we looked to the organization and said, how do we add value to the company? This generation is looking at the company and saying, how can you add value to me? Completely different outlook. You have to be sensitive to this when you are talking, whether you're designing a leadership intervention, a cultural intervention, a value intervention, or even a managerial trainee program, especially a managerial trainee program. वहाँ पे तो सबसे पहला सवाल यही आता है, हमें क्या मिलेगा?
What's in it for me?
बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है. ठीक है जी, अब हम चलते हैं हमारे ऑडियंस के क्वेश्चंस की तरफ. I already see a lot of questions are there. Our first question is from a guest from previous part. Mr. Sharia Ali is online. He is a manager LNOD at KFC Pakistan. And I guess Jalal, ये आपके वाली जो point था उस पे ये सवाल है. And question is this: maybe because the toolkit is old now, and maybe millennials have their own toolkit which is a battle hardened. What do you think?
I agree with the first sentence, disagree with the second sentence.
I just knew it. I just knew he's going to be like, battle hardened, really? What you talking about?
What battles? What battles? What battles? भाई मेरे तो 6 साल का मास्टर्स डिग्री लेके अभी मेरी कंपनी में आया नौकरी करने के लिए. कौन सी जंग लड़ी है तुमने? क्या देखा है?
Wow. What do you think?
I'm joking. The serious, I'm sorry, I joke. I'll be serious, I promise. Yes, the toolkit is old. It is outdated, and I think I alluded to that. Do the millennials have their own toolkits? Yes. Every generation of workers does. And I promise you, 10, 20 years from now, that toolkit will have multiple best-selling managerial books, and there'll be leadership gurus making a living expounding on it, and Gen Zs will be sitting there thinking that, oh, my toolkit is better now. Nobody is walking in with a different Swiss Army knife. The elements, even though a new generation of workers entered the workforce, the elements of HR did not change. You still need to empower them. You still need to delegate to them. You still need to train and develop them. They need coaching. They need mentoring. They need access to professional development. They need guidance. They need clear career paths. None of these things change. None of these 8 things that I just pointed out change. 9 good performance management systems. None of these things change. They all stay the same. No one's walking in with a different toolkit. The perspective is different. The millennial perspective has not yet had time to mature. A lot of what we see in foreign literature on millennial workers comes from one sector of the international economy, technology.
Yes.
Technology doesn't come from anywhere else. The sector itself comes with its own internal biases and perception. Be very careful about what examples you quote.
Interesting. There was a very interesting answer. Shahryar ने हमें जवाब भी दिया है वैसे कि it's been 12 years. Shahryar, जलाल joke कर रहे थे. So I understand.
Sorry, Shahryar. Okay.
No, but really, there is a perspective there. I mean, 12 years vis-a-vis somebody
in 12
with 20
years, you can't really call yourself a millennial anymore. I'm sorry, Ayesha. But in 12 years, Shahryar, if you've got 12 years of experience under the belt, I'm sorry. वो सिर्फ sticker है, ऊपर paint है, but you're not a millennial. You don't have that. You have fought your battles and won them. You can lay claim to a toolkit.
Interesting. Ayesha कुछ कह रही थी.
What I was saying was that even then, 12 years versus 20 years, 25 years, of course, as we said again, experience. There's no shortcut to experience, right? So, of course, the one who has spent 20, 25 years in the corporate life will feel usne zyada battles ladi hain, right? As opposed to 12. And that there's merit in that.
Interesting. I guess एक और भी comment आया है अकबर मोटानी का. I guess maybe you want to say something on that, Ayesha. He's actually writing a comment. He's saying that as a manager, as a leader, what's important to empower millennials is to make them part of the journey. Don't tell them what to do. Tell them why. Give them responsibility. Face them publicly. Ayesha, what do you think? You agree?
It's just like, echoing that same sentiment I mentioned to you, right? Why? This generation really wants to align its own why with your why. And if there's no alignment, then it gets disillusioned and says, मैं यहाँ क्या कर रहा हूँ? जो मैं ढूंढने आया हूँ वो यहाँ पे है नहीं. So absolutely, I completely agree with that. You have to answer that why.
You have to answer that why. एक और interesting सवाल आया. This question is from Zohra. Jalal, what do you think? How to help the young contributors become more consistent with work and results? So काम भी और results भी. Consistency कैसे आएगी, Jalal?
Consistency is a function of delivery in time. Okay. And just about as good, you and the results and the consistency you produce are only as good as your processes and the tools that you use to work with them. However, I think what Zora is alluding to is the mindset that generates consistency. Different managers and leaders would use different techniques. Zora, I can only point out to something that I do in my team, and maybe that will help you. What I do with my team is that, say, for example, if we have something that needs to happen, and say if there's a process that needs to be re-engineered, for example, in EFU Life, we wanted to look at at lowering our number of open vacant positions at any one given point in time, whilst ensuring that service delivery, our service delivery standards did not fall. So what I did is that instead of me sitting down and solving out, sitting down with my managers and figuring out what I needed to do, we took the people, the young people in the team, and we said, look, these are the parameters of the issue. I need a solution. Go solve it. If you have a question, come ask me. If you get stuck somewhere, we'll help you get unstuck. But you guys are the ones that are going to have to do this, so you solve it. So essentially what we did is that we made them a part of the solution. Instead of holding them accountable for the outcome, we empowered them to develop the tools they needed to achieve the outcome, and started involving them at a very early stage. That's really, and then that, and we really invested very heavily in our technology. So that really helped really bring about a consistency in outcome. As far as result orientation is concerned, again, I would give the same answer. If you can give them a good enough reason as to why they're doing what they're doing, this is what the work is, this is how it fits into the bigger picture, this is why what you're doing matters, I believe you would have an easier time of it. I hope this advice can help you.
Interesting. Ayesha, you want to add something to it, please?
Right. So I really like this question, Zora. The question says, how can we help young contributors become more consistent with work and consistent with results? I love the fact that Jalal spoke from experience. I'll share mine as well, adding to it. The first one is definitely you have to make them part of the journey. ये generation तो specially dictation नहीं लेती है ना. ये problem आ गई, ये काम करना है, इसको ऐसे करना है. They will not be involved. You have to ask them, जैसे जलाल ने पहले भी कहा, what do you think? Beautiful words, definitely involvement. Second, instant and on the spot feedback and consistent feedback. You have to guide them, you have to give them feedback. If you feel that you've given them that right direction, now they've given you an input and they're asking for your review, they're really looking up to you and they're like, बताएं, आगे क्या करना है? How is this? Is it good enough? And you sleep over it. It has to be on the spot, value time, their time, your time, instant, constant, consistent feedback. ये हम appraisals में भी कहते हैं. No end of the year surprises. Feedback has to be constant, right? And the third one, which I live by, recognition. Results की जहाँ बात कर रही हो ना Zora, consistent results when somebody feels appreciated, recognized, और ये नहीं कि आप 6 महीने बाद उसको एक जेम मतलब एक अवार्ड दे रहे हैं कि यार here you go, you did this 6 months ago. No, recognition is to be timely, on the spot. Hey, you did a fantastic job. Kudos to you. That pat on the back ensures consistent, timely delivery.
So feedback is there, constant feedback is there, and quick. So if they do something great, just appreciate them right there and then, and do not wait for 6 months or 1 year, maybe down the line. We are still open to questions. Everybody who's watching us, so if you have any questions, I can see your comments. Whatever comments are there, of course, हम पढ़ रहे हैं Jalal में, Ayesha हम सब पढ़ सकते हैं. But again, questions is what I'm entertaining right now. So एक और सवाल जो मैं आप लोगों से है, and that is a part of my initially prepared question. Now you have millennial managers at your workplace. How do leaders, or how do, let's say, senior managers or leadership position can support these millennial managers? How do they support? How can they support?
I'll go first. Yes, and there's one very strong point in my mind: flexibility. Millennial managers, and I think it's coming from the heart because I represent an element of diversity as well, right? The most talked about element, which I have my reservations with as well, but nonetheless, millennial managers, millennials overall, they are more prone to expecting flexibility, जिसको हम agility भी कहते हैं, चाहे वो work routine में हो, चाहे वो work delivery में हो. I'm not talking about compromising timelines, deadlines, नहीं. I completely agree with the element of discipline that needs to be there. But millennial managers, more so जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, they expect flexibility. And जैसे जलाल ने भी कहा, थोड़ा सा ना, let it be.
Let it go, yeah.
Let it go. We're not perfect. Nobody was born with a perfect dummy's guide to being the perfect manager. No. Let it be. They belong to that workforce. They are managing millennials. So जब वो आपसे खुद पूछ रहे हैं, उनके अपने लोग उनसे पूछ रहे हैं what's in it for me, वो भी ऊपर से यही पूछ रहे हैं what's in it for me. They're managing a similar breed, a similar mindset. I personally feel a lot of flexibility.
I just add one thing, and that's now in my official capacity as head of HR, that if a department head comes to me and says, okay, oh, I have a problem with this manager, my first question is, banaya kyun tha? The ownership of a millennial manager is with the leader of that complete organizational unit. His development, his transition from a worker mindset into a managerial mindset, from a doing mindset to getting work done from other people mindset, all of that, plus the essential skills that a manager needs: delegating, monitoring, feedback, coaching, conflict resolution, team working, etc., that make up the standard skill set of a manager. Its provision its understanding, its rollout is a shared responsibility between HR and that millennial manager's boss.
Interesting.
A key element of supporting that millennial manager is that that manager needs to be owned, not just by his boss, but by the company. You are not a manager in that department. You are a manager in the company. The company needs to own that manager. So if a manager anywhere in an organization is struggling, there need to be various safety nets available, various doors that are always open, and various avenues for help that he or she can then either proactively reach out to, or someone like, again, someone from HR will then just sort of reach out and say, we hear about this. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do to help you with this. And make sure that that manager receives the help, the care, the support that they need. But it all starts with that fundamental question, whether you're a millennial or you're a Gen X or a Y or a boomer, it's a fundamental question. If that person was always going to struggle and not be effective in that role, and I'm not talking about teething pains here. Teething pains pass with time. I'm not talking about teething pains. I'm talking about a manager who has been struggling for a while as a manager. So then the question needs to be asked, usko banaya kisne tha aur kyun? Because he's clearly not performing. As I said, a manager is an organizational resource, so you don't make managers lightly. You don't make everyone a manager either.
Interesting.
I say, Zain, this thought which Jalal has brought into perspective is one जिसके ऊपर आप एक पूरी series कर सकते हैं.
Yeah.
Manager 101 जिसको हम कहते हैं. Not everyone can be a manager. अफसोस के साथ ये कहना पड़ता है कि in a couple of places प्रमोशन हो गई, टाइम की वजह से हो गई, उसके नीचे बंदे दे दिए, वो इंडिविजुअल कंट्रीब्यूटर बेहतरीन था, he used to get brilliant ratings, and now he or she has been given a team, and that person is still behaving like an individual contributor. तो फिर leadership तो goes out of the window. अभी तो उसको यही नहीं, and we really need to spend a lot of time telling them what management is all about, and what you're supposed. It's not about you anymore. It's about these people. You're responsible for them and their delivery. So individual contributor hona or manager hona.
Falls apart.
अच्छा, now we have a lot of questions coming in, but आप लोगों की बातचीत से मुझे एक और चीज समझ में आई थी और जो मैंने recently पढ़ी भी रहा था. Now we see that we are into a global pandemic right now. We seeing businesses suffering. आज किधर ऐसा बाहर है, निकलना मत बाहर. So while we are at it, we are seeing businesses suffering, big time suffering. Companies जो essential services में नहीं आती है, some of them are literally going out of the business now. We also see कि बहुत सारे laid off हो गए, बहुत ज़्यादा unemployment हो गई, and I'm talking about global perspective right now. So I was watching a show where again there was similar topic was going on, where the millennial actually said, when our companies are not loyal to us, कि इस टाइम पे हमें निकाल देते हैं, तो हम क्यों loyal के साथ?
ये वैसे सिर्फ एक millennial comment नहीं है, ये कोई भी दे सकता है. In this time, this hour of frustration, and let's sympathize with them. This can come from anyone, Zain. It can come from a Gen X. It can come from anybody.
Yeah. इस मौके पे क्या हमारे पास वाकई में एक बहुत ही मौका नहीं है क्या हम मिलेनियल्स को इस वक्त शायद हमेशा के लिए रोक सके अपने पास, खास तौर पे ऐसे वक्तों में?
What I would like to go ahead, Jalal. Go ahead.
I didn't hear that. I didn't catch that.
जलाल, मेरा सवाल ये था कि ये जो चल रहा है, जहाँ पे कंपनी सफर भी कर रही है, सब कुछ हो रहा है, जहाँ शायद बिजनेस को बचाने के लिए हमें कॉस्ट कटिंग करनी पड़ेगी, तो क्या हम उस टैलेंट पूल को अभी सबसे ज़्यादा बचा सकते हैं एंड ना कि उनको निकाल दें, बिकॉज बहुत कंपनीज निकाल रही हैं?
Yes, Ayesha, you were going for that first.
No, I did add a point to that. आप कहिए फिर I will take this.
It's sad.
Yeah.
We live in a world where businesses unfortunately tie a lot of social benefits to employees over and above what they pay out in just pure salary, simply because governments can't or do not. So there is no real social net ready, whether it's a universal basic income or healthcare. And I sound like an American politician saying that, but unfortunately, organizations are right now in many countries around the world the primary provider for social care for employees over and above salaries. And when that social care, it carries a cost, and if there are no revenues coming in to offset that cost, then businesses do need to do what they need to do to survive. There is nothing that can be said or done about it, because the alternative is for the business to not survive at all. Here, I would say people like Ayesha, people like you, and yes, even people like me, who are in position, sitting in HR departments, who are looking at these networks, and you're hiring, you have an obligation now more than ever to hire. If you can, if there is space in your organization right now, giving someone a job is also an act of charity, and us HR departments can do that. So while yes, organizations do, and it's a smart, sensible business decision to make, is to manage and control your costs. But wherever possible, consider hiring. There are many people who right now are writing into EFU Life, starting their cover letters with, "I'm laid off." Our buildings are closed, but people are showing up at the gates with CVs and handing them to security guards. It's starting to get bad out there. Rosie, for example, has now set up a "I just got laid off" button. For all of my colleagues who are watching this and you are recruiters, get on that. There is see what you can do. Even if it's one person, you'll help. It's not just about how much money you can give to charity, but if you can give someone a livelihood in your organization and you can afford it, you can help mitigate this problem. I'm not just from a head of HR perspective, but from a social perspective, and just as a professional, I'm rather worried at the pace of unemployment that's just suddenly hitting us.
Yeah, that was beautifully said, Jalal. Yes, giving somebody employment right now, it's also an act of charity. And if you have an opening, yes, let's hire somebody and let's bring people in. Yes,
Please
thank
hire
you.
someone.
Bilkul. Aisha, your point on that.
So I really don't need to add anything more to what the picture Jalal painted, and the way he addressed that question. It was very, very well done. What I will like to shed light on is a bit of a positive side to this entire lockdown, and how we were, in the midst of entering the lockdown. And yes, your question was, how is it an opportunity for us to really retain these people for life with your decisions? Well, in a couple of cases, yes, I did see that, because the day an organization decided to go into a work from home mode, and the day an organization informed its 50 plus workforce, and those with, let's say, health comorbidities, or working mothers, and especially for those organizations who have a daycare set up like EBM, the
Yeah.
day we informed those mothers to start working from home in the interest of their families and themselves, wow, it, those people fall in love with the organization and be with you for life. And then, if an organization can really, really play an important role in, ensuring sustenance and consistency in people's livelihoods, giving them rations, giving them hardship allowances. I mean, that's another completely different side to it. I think definitely indebted is not the right word. We're not doing anybody an ihsan, right? But
Yeah.
if Allah has given
No.
us an
To whom much
organization.
is given, much you have an obligation and a responsibility.
Absolutely. So if Allah has given you that position, if you can make that positive difference, you definitely are retaining those people for a lifetime.
Exactly it is. And I guess that's the learning for all the leaders out there. While we understand that, yes, we want to save It's just like a similar situation how Pakistan is. Either we save the economy or we save the life. And we need to have a great hybrid of actually both the things happening, that we save the economy so that people do not die of starvation and hunger, and we save lives to somehow. There's a question from Javeria. And again, let's talk about that. Mostly this question looks like an individual problem, but let's talk. I've heard some seniors, 25 plus years of experience, say that they have had worse bosses and worse conditions, and they use this as an excuse to demean their subordinates. How to answer things like this? So she's asking कि वो किस तरह answer करे ऐसी चीजों को. Let's start with you, Jalal.
Answer? Report that person to HR for training.
Okay.
Because in EFU life, an answer like this would get you sent to HR. As I said, part of our values is dignity, is respect.
Yeah.
And that's a two-way street. And just because you had a hard life, I mean, you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. You don't have a monopoly on hardship and growth and tough times.
Yeah.
And that gentleman sitting in front of you is also a part of the family, is a member of the family that of this company, and has just about as much right to be there as you do. You have no right to talk to the person like this. And that person really needs to learn how to talk to his team. So yeah, send that person to HR for training, please.
इंटरेस्टिंग. अब सवाल बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो मैं कहूँगा ये कि सवाल सारे लेता रहूँगा, आप लोगों से पूछता रहूँगा. नेक्स्ट सवाल आयशा, आप ही की कॉलीग हैं, आप ही की टीम मेंबर है, वर्दा जैदी से है. वर्दा पूछ रही है, आई वांट टू नो ऑफ इंट्रिंसिक एंड एक्सट्रिंसिक motivational factors you have experienced in this generation.
Well, since I don't belong to this generation.
Yes, Jalal, you can answer quickly.
Jalal, why don't you take it first?
You take it.
Right.
I like the question.
I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to judge you in my Gen X way.
Judge you? No, I will just speak in my own humble capacity out of the experience that I've sought. Intrinsic motivation in this generation is definitely a desire to achieve something, to create something larger than life. I don't know if I'm being able to put it in the right words, but this generation has a lot of potential and a huge dreams. So intrinsic motivation inki paisa nahi hai in a lot of cases. Yeah. Inki intrinsic motivation is that desire to prove to themselves intrinsically that I can do this, I can achieve this dream. And extrinsic, so definitely that spotlight this generation gets from being called, oh wow, that's our high achiever. Oh, look at the creative solution this person came up with. Oh, look at the speed with which delivery is coming in. So again, मैं बता रही हूँ, recognition. कि वो जो intrinsically भी अपने आप को satisfy करे और फिर वो external endorsement भी मिल जाए extrinsically. That's what I've experienced.
Interesting. That was great, and I guess I would agree.
I'm thinking pretty much along the same line. I would say that let me give it a shot. Intrinsically, I believe this generation is cause driven. Now, whether that cause is themselves or an external cause, they really tie themselves and their assessment and apprehension of themselves as people personally to that cause. That's really important. And yes, recognition, extrinsic recognition. It's not about the beanbags. It's not about the boutique benefits. It's not about the cafeteria food. Shine 100 megawatt spotlight on that person, they'll be happy.
I agree. I actually agree to that as well, because मुझे भी लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं हम मिलेनियल्स को तारीफ और रिकग्निशन और हमें हीरो बनाइए, हमें अच्छा लगता है. आगे चलते हैं. अगला सवाल है.
Everyone likes it. But
right. And that's what he was saying. He also likes it.
परफेक्ट। जलाल, ये सवाल आप बताइए। बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस आर पब्लिकली शेयरिंग देयर परफॉर्मेंस फीडबैक, स्पेशली नंबर्स ओरिएंटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. It's like making millennials feel back in their school days. How to deal with that?
In my view, a good performance management system is what's required. Your annual performance appraisal system is a bad idea. It was a bad idea 40 years ago when they first came up with it. It's a bad idea today. Stop doing that. Shift to a performance management system where you have shorter bursts of more frequent periodic feedback. Now, second thing, what are you giving feedback on? You are giving feedback on outcomes, not on not numerically, but on SMART defined outcomes and goals. So you identify exactly and to a fine detail what is expected from the employee, and then you give feedback on, for example, in EFU Life, our performance management system, we break it down into 2 sections. What you did and how you did it.
Okay.
That's what the performance management discussion actually then revolves around. I am myself am also not a fan of number scales and A+ and everything, but we use words. Again, in EFU Life, we say, and we don't say things like average. If you've met all your expectations, you should not be rated average. So we say, good job. Well done. Or we say, you're falling behind in some areas. Let's talk. We have a let's talk category of people. And then that's on the developmental side. And then on the more positive side, then we go into excellence and understanding, etc., etc. We don't believe in treating people as if they just came out of school. To answer your question, I would strongly suggest. Now, what do you mean are publicly sharing performance feedback? Are you talking about the radical honesty model? Well, just let me know, because that is a completely different beast altogether.
Yep. बिल्कुल ऐसा है. Let's go for next question. आयशा, ये सवाल है मदीहा सईदुल हक का. मदीहा ये पूछ रही हैं, millennials process information quickly and they equally ask questions quickly. Is the previous generation able to handle so many questions?
Why not? Yes, brilliantly. And those are the people we've learned from. Come on. They are brilliant. ऐसा थोड़ी है कि वो बुड्ढे बाबे हैं. No, I'm sorry. Pardon the terminology I'm using. They are brilliant. They're fantastic. They're brilliant minds. They are our guides, our mentors. So इसमें कोई comparison ही नहीं है. Actually, Zain, उससे पहले एक बहुत मजेदार question है. Shahina, I think, is the girl.
शाहीना, एक मिनट. जी, शाहीना जगीरानी. जी.
तो let me begin with this.
Okay.
And I cannot say this in English. उर्दू में मजा आएगा. The biggest myth is कि अगर इनको empower किया तो ये सर पे चढ़ जाएंगे. I think it's a myth.
Okay.
Jalal, you can add to this. You can
I've heard this from everyone, and I've not heard this about every generation. I've heard this about boomers, X, Y, Z, millennials, everything. I've heard this as an argument against empowerment all the time. This is the first line of attack whenever empowerment in an organization gets attacked. Sar pe chadenge.
No comments.
No,
it's just, it's one of those questions. No comments.
No, but we can't leave this as no comment, because the person may actually truly believe that. And we have to bring everybody along. You can't leave that person sitting behind there thinking that. You have to come up, unfortunately, with an answer. You can't leave that person there.
Interesting. और कौन सा myth है आयशा empowerment के अलावा कि उस शब्द से जाएंगे?
Again, जिनके ऊपर questions अभी आए भी that they are lazy. नहीं, lazy नहीं है. Impatient मानती हूँ, but lazy तो बिल्कुल नहीं है, बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. बल्कि इनकी delivery time बहुत quick है. आपने काम दिया और वो एकदम से ठक करके ले आते हैं कि there you go. Because they have capacity है, क्या है, multitasking शायद ज्यादा है, maybe मुझे ऐसा लगता है. they can juggle many things around. जैसे for example, शुरू में मुझे थोड़ा सा odd लगता था. They would be working, टक 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 टक, और नीचे अपना सामने बिल्कुल मोबाइल फोन रखा है, मैसेज को भी जवाब दे रहे हो. And I'd be like, dude, how are you focusing? How can you focus? But they can, and kind of input that tak was giving me was fantastic. So why should I have a problem with that multitasking? दो screen देख रहा है एक साथ देखने दो.
Interesting. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
ये है short वो span of attention.
बिल्कुल शॉर्ट स्पैन ऑफ अटेंशन है भी, और स्पेशली वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड में तो ये अटेंशन स्पैन मजीद छोटा होता जा रहा है. एंड आई गेस ओवर द इयर्स वी विल सी, आई डोंट नो, कि शायद अब वो अटेंशन स्पैन बड़ा हो सकता है. थैंक यू सो मच जलाल, थैंक यू सो मच आयशा फॉर बीइंग हियर विद अस इन दिस शो. बिफोर वी से गुड बाय टू एवरीवन, वन फाइनल क्लोजिंग remarks from you. Again, role of the leaders in nurturing young talents. What would be your closing remark? I'll start with you, Ayesha.
I can't have this more constant feedback दें. लोगों के पास टाइम ही नहीं है feedback देने के लिए. Your responsibility as a leader is to give feedback, and very objective feedback, not based on biases. Objective feedback कहाँ से आता है? जब आप hands on हो, when you have the right perspective. आप ऊपर से bird's eye view लेके लोगों को कोच नहीं कर सकते. So that's my thing, and recognition definitely.
बिल्कुल फीडबैक दीजिए, रिकॉग्निशन कीजिए. बर्ड्स आई व्यू से आप लिटरली ऑब्जर्वेशन नहीं कर सकते. थैंक यू सो मच आयशा फॉर दैट ग्रेट वर्ड. जलाल, योर क्लोजिंग रिमार्क्स.
We need to move beyond conversations about millennials and generation blah blah blah. There is only what do you bring to the table, and how much of yourself are you willing to give, and for what in return. And that means there is tremendous room for growth here and overlap between people of all ages, all types, and all experiences within an organizational endeavor. Nothing, as I said earlier, nothing has changed with the induction of a new workforce. It's just that the way the tools were used has grown, and we need to grow alongside it. I would just like to close though, because something Ayesha said actually triggered. I'm going to quote Dumbledore from Harry Potter. And but it's a very insightful line, but I think it fully encapsulates the generational dilemma of this, which is the mistake youth makes is that they have no idea how age thinks and sees things. The mistake age makes is that they forget what it's like to be young. So if age can remember that they're sitting on top of a workforce that is dynamic, energetic, flexible, fast-paced, intelligent, adaptive, and has tremendous capacity to deliver, and if these young people have an appreciation for the depth of insight, perception, knowledge, and experience that has been brought together, I believe you have a combination here for an extremely potent, high-performing organization.
Wow, that was beautifully summed, Jalal. Thank you so much once again, Ayesha and Jalal. And thank you so much all the viewers for being here with us.
Can I just please apologize to the gentleman? I was joking. I didn't mean him exactly. Please forgive me.
शरिया अली, आपके साथ बस जलाल कह रहे हैं कि वो मजाक कर रहे थे. प्लीज आप, आई होप आपने पर्सनली नहीं लिया हो, आप ऑफेंड नहीं हुए हो. एंड बाकी व्यूअर्स, थैंक यू सो मच. वी आर सीइंग अ लॉट ऑफ faces.
So much.
Yeah.
And Ayesha, lovely to see you. And Zain, always a pleasure.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Jalal. Thank you so much, Ayesha. हमारे व्यूअर्स हमें देख रहे हैं, हम आपके कमेंट्स ये पढ़ सकते हैं. वी कैन सी अ लॉट ऑफ phrases from Madiha, Sunehra, Misbah Siddiqui, Anas Waza. Thank you so much for such insightful conversations and of course your participation. Please, अगर आप इस चैनल पे पहली बार आए हैं Funverks Media पे, please do not forget to press that subscribe button and click the bell icon, because we have regular content coming in, and alhamdulillah, it's been a month now since we started BIZVERDS, and we have webinars coming in, and of course we are there for learning, we are there to teach, we are there to be with you guys, and of course to discuss with all of you. Once again, thank you Jalal, thank you so much Ayesha. This is Zain Goplani signing off now. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and inshallah ta'ala I'll see you again on another episode of BIZVERDS. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. Have a great time, inshallah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Allah Hafiz.